Hi, this is Keith Weaver with the Top Executive Strategy Podcast, where CEOs, COOs, and business owners share strategies for better success. This is 6 questions in 9 minutes because the best strategies are concise business advice. And we're going to be concise and get right to our guest today with question number one. In a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
Thanks, Keith. My name's Mckell, and I own Monarch Social Brand, a digital marketing agency here based out of Salt Lake City, Utah. We have two offices, one in Pocatello, one downtown Salt Lake, and we help other companies use digital marketing to grow their company, to gain them more leads. That's what we do.
Which everybody wants, right? More leads,
Yeah,
more business, and to grow their business. So
that's right.
great thing. Well, we're glad that you're here, and we look forward to hearing from you and your insights. So question number two, what's the best thing about being a business leader?
The best thing about being a business leader to me, it's kind of like a two-part thing. The first part is I get to make lasting relationships that are super memorable and on a kind of consistent basis. I'm always meeting new people and in a position to cultivate awesome relationships. And the second part of being the best thing about being a business leader is watching people grow and transform their own lives by helping them give the tools and guidance to get there. And so those two things have been the best thing for me about being a leader.
Well, and as you grow other people, you're hanging around them. And so obviously that helps you grow as well. So it's a mutual beneficial thing.
Yeah, you're leveling up your tribe, you're leveling
Exactly.
up the tribe.
So question number three, I hear from other business leaders, a lot of times their people strategy can be more of a challenge than the actual business strategy in running their business. Your thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts on that is I think it depends on the size of the business. I think a smaller business, I think people strategy is relatively easier than running a huge corporation full of, 100 employees plus. I when I had my last business, the most employees I had underneath me was 55 employees. And it was a complete night and day difference running a 10-man team versus a 55-man team. And so people strategy was a lot easier because I think it was a lot more intimate, if you will, a lot more one-on-one, and you could really grow your employees and those in the different departments, if you will. And once you grow bigger, that's when it got a lot more challenging, where we had to put more of a process, and this is how you do it. And it got really more red tape-ish as we got bigger and expanded. So I think for me, it was definitely a size issue of the company, not necessarily. It was harder at the beginning. No, it was more easy. People strategy was a lot easier when there was fewer of us.
Yeah, as you grow, you definitely have to be a little more proactive in planning and getting it in place and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, good. All right. Question number four. What strategy would you like to share with other business leaders?
Yeah. So I'm in the marketing business now. I had to learn marketing from my very first company. And inside of that, everyone was telling you, hey, you got to be online. You got to be doing, social media. You got to be doing these things. And every time I did it, it just kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. And so I never loved digital marketing. And every time I paid someone to do it, it kind of just felt like I was giving money away. And I didn't like that. Well, years later, we kind of figured it out. We brought some awesome key people in, and we really understood what marketing was. Get to the strategy part of it. One of the things that we find that really accelerates business to gain leads, to gain brand awareness, is paid advertising. So specifically having a strategy to run ads online, whether that's Google ads or Facebook ads, and Facebook owns Instagram. So running ads is a great strategy for businesses to try to find their target demographic. With that strategy, I'll say three things. It takes time. It's not some magical button that you push and all of a sudden leads come, flowing through your door overnight. If you've never done digital marketing and you go and run ads on Facebook, it's going to take a few months to really get an awesome ROI on that. And then the second thing about that is having a good budget, a healthy budget. I don't like working with companies that don't have a budget to push ads. If they only have $100 to put into ads on Facebook, I don't think it's going to work. It'll take even longer to get results. So I think if a company can start running ads the paid advertising part of things with that strategy. The low end, I think about $300, and then it just goes up from there. If you can have about $300 per month to put into some Facebook ads, I think you could find some success with that. For most industries, other industries are harder, obviously, but generally speaking, that's the type of budget that I would start with. But I think paid advertising is a strategy that business owners are not utilizing because they're not used to it. They're not sure how to do it. They're not sure how much to put into it, and they're not sure when to expect some ROI on it. The last thing I guess I'll say is don't just run one thing. Here at Monarch Social, we always run different ad sets. The hardest part for marketing for us is trying to figure out not only the demographic, but also the ad, the creative, and the copy that will speak to that demographic. So we can go run one ad to your demographic, but if the copy or the creative is off, if we use an image versus a video, that might be huge difference. And so we always run A/B testing, split testing every time we run ads. And that's a huge strategy that I think every business owner should really look into, especially B2C. So business to consumer companies, I think, should be on Facebook. And B2B, there's different strategies, but running ads, I think, is a great strategy for businesses to really look at and to take some time to understand.
Well, and I think, sometimes digital marketing gets a little bit of a bad rap because people, like you mentioned, years ago, you would throw money at it and you just felt like you were wasting money. And sometimes people feel like it's a black hole. And I think, when you really put the time and effort into it, and, you work with a company that's transparent about what they're doing, it can make a huge difference. And I don't know how a business can grow without it, really, at this point.
Yeah, I think if you start working with a marketing company, and they give you those realistic expectations of, hey, this isn't going to happen overnight, and hey, this is the budget that you need, and this is what we're going to try to do, it will leave a less bad taste. Because there's a lot of times I work with companies and they've tried someone and they're like, oh yeah, we did that, it didn't work. And I say, well, how long did you do it for? And they're like, oh, we tried them for a month. And I'm like, okay, well, I got to change their mindset of saying this is a long-term thing. Marketing is a long-term vision. It's not this short-term thing that's just some magical, thing that happens and all of a sudden everyone knows us. But I do a lot of cleanup. And I think if expectations were set right, first of all, with business owners to say, hey, this is what to expect, they'd have a way better understanding of marketing in the digital age that we live in now, of Facebook, Instagram, Google ads, LinkedIn ads, Twitter, whatever it is. So
very good advice. And really appreciate you being on. So question number 5, what other successful business owners, CEOs like yourself, would you maybe like to do a shout out to, or you think would be good on the podcast?
Man, I'm in such an awesome position because, and I'm sure you are too, Keith, is probably so many different business owners and so many awesome CEOs. So it's very hard to narrow it down. But I'll say this. There's a guy that I think is just such an awesome hustler. And I've been working, I've been his friend, not even working with him. I've been his friend for going on a year or so now. But Keaton Skadden with the Skadden Insurance, he's one of the real ones. I always say real recognizes real, and he just has that spark of hustle in him. And so I think Keaton Skadden would be a great guest on here.
Yeah, we'll see if he's available, and hopefully we can glean some of his insights as well. That would be great. So kind of a 6th final fun question, if you will. Tell me about one of your favorite past bosses.
Yeah, I saw this, thinking about my past bosses, and I was trying to think about who really stands out. And there's one that I used to do alarm installs for Vivint. And I had a manager there that was just awesome. I lived in California at the time. I lived in Sacramento. And my boss, his name's Steven. And he was probably one of the best bosses I ever had. And I was trying to think about what made him a great boss. And it was because he was always in the trenches with me. It never felt like he was telling me things to do that he wouldn't do himself. It never felt like he was better than me or he was high and mighty. It was like this mutual, we worked together. And if I had something going on, he'd come like help and like say a big install and it was going to take hours and hours. He was right there with me. And so he just made you feel like he was part of the team. He wasn't he was leading the team, but he wasn't above the team. He would do everything that we did plus more. And he just always stood out to me. So Steven he's not with him anymore, but if Steven's listening, he was one of my favorite bosses.
Well, and a great story. And obviously it sounds like a very good leader that gets in there and works with you.
Yeah, of course. And that's what he did. And it didn't matter if it was doing inventory or doing, I had multiple bosses in that company, and some other bosses would just be like, hey, get your inventory done. I need it done by this date and blah, blah, blah. And if you didn't, you'd get in super, super trouble. And with him, it's like, hey, I'm running behind. He's like, okay, I'm going to come help you. Let me come help. No worries. Let's figure this out. He was a very problem solver, but together problem solver with you. And I love that about him. So.
Awesome story. Well, it has been great having you on. Before we leave, can you tell people how they can reach out to you or get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can follow us at monarchsocialbrand.com. That's our website. We have Instagram, Facebook, and then for me personally, Morgan Mckell. I'm on everything. I am in marketing, so I am on Facebook, Morgan Mckell, at Instagram, the Morgan Mckell.
Awesome. Again, thank you so much for being here. And this is Keith Weaver with the Executive Strategy Podcast. And for more insights and to follow us, you can follow us at Weaver Business Coaching, find us on LinkedIn, and of course, listen to us on your favorite podcast platform. And we wish you all the best success.